if you were to ask people, is rehabs are a good thing. The irony of it is they're essentially useless. Now, I'm not talking about detox. Medical detox may be needed and is life-saving in some situations. What I'm talking about specifically is the typical 28-day rehab, what we all know as rehab treatment. And the reason it's essentially useless is because it's a massive distraction from understanding that you, as an individual, are the answer to your addiction. There is no outside thing. There is no group therapy. There is no set of meetings or recovery protocols that are going to change you and make you sober. There's no external conditions by which all the stars align and we have this holistic approach coupled with goal setting, coupled with making sure your values match everything, and all these things that supposedly addiction proof you are distractions, are actually distractions. Because ultimately, the only thing that changes people is themselves. Because what guides the human experience is your personal mind, your ideas, your beliefs, your perspectives, your interpretations. All of this happens inside of you, not external to you. So if you put all your eggs in a basket, you take your mind and then you say, I need this rehab. I need this meeting. I need this sponsor. I need this counselor. I need this group. I need this medication. I need. Well, guess what that becomes? That becomes dependency, another style of dependency. And people don't know they're falling prey to that. So how do I know this? Because I grew up from the age of, 7, 8 years old, maybe earlier. I can remember 5 years old hearing my mother leave the house and go to AA meetings. But I've been around the treatment game now for about 40 years and actively researching it for 36 years. And having lived it, I was stuck in treatment at one point for a total of 18 months. And a part of AA for nearly 20 years, between my family involvement, going to rehabs on visitation days with my siblings, my older siblings, going to meetings with my mother, and then going as an active member myself when I ran into trouble. And all of this decades, multi-decades long experience was really detrimental to me. Now, I leveraged that knowledge. I made something good out of it. I wrote this book with Steve Slate and Michelle Dunbar based on our experiences, our collective experiences, rallying against treatment. So I want to say something that's really important, though. I think that most people that are involved in the treatment industry are good people. They are well-intentioned. They have been trained in propaganda and they don't even know it. For example, one of the biggest scams is the disease concept. And it is a concept because it's not real. There is no disease of addiction. That's a farce. It's a made-up thing. The brain disease, the chronic relapsing brain disease. We cover all this in the book, but you can easily dispel all of these notions that you are out of control. And there's all kinds of research that we have, and we can prove throughout this book and throughout our workshops and things like that. But we can prove that people are never out of control through priming dose studies and all kinds of research that we talk about. But how did it develop? How did it develop into the juggernaut that it is worldwide? This idea that it's a disease and that you need to leave your home and spend tens of thousands of dollars and be in perpetual recovery. How did they make people believe that there's this subset of people, maybe as high as 20%, that gets addicted to everything and that there's an addictive personality? That's another falsity that they came up with, that they made up. There's no research that backs that up. There is no such thing as the addictive personality. And look at right in the comments. I have no problem debating any of what I say, and I can prove all of these things. So if you have any questions, you can read our book, or you read any of Stanton Peele's books, or Jeffrey Shaler, or Carl Hart, or Mark Lewis. There's tons of research on what I'm talking about, and many others. So you don't have to guess. And look up all those people if you want. Now, if you're just going to fire off a bunch of comments and say, you're going to troll this, that's fine. That helps the algorithm. but it's a waste of your time. I would look up the books, read them, and then debate the method if you want. So it became this $45 billion industry in America alone, annually, by teaching people that a drug has the power and that the human doesn't. This is a really weird concept, really odd idea, because a substance doesn't contain power. It has no sentience. It has no mind. And the human being is run by their mind, their metaphysical mind, their ideas, their beliefs, their perspectives, their interpretations. So if we believe that somebody actually loses control, what we're saying is that the drug has sentience. It has the ability to override your mind. And now I know what they say. They say, yes, but through the brain. Well, your brain doesn't think. It doesn't come up with ideas. Your brain isn't something other than you that comes up with ideas and tells you how to live your life. That's a weird idea too. So there's no doubt that the drugs, the substances, affect the body. No doubt about it, in all kinds of various wild ways. But it doesn't change our minds for us. And once the treatment sort of protagonists, once they decided that they had to teach you that you have no control, they had to teach you that you're run by your biology. And so these are false ideas. You're not run by your biology. You're not run by your physiology. You're not run by dopamine and serotonin. That's a lie. You're not run by that. Your ideas and your perspectives run your dopamine and your serotonin and how they react in your body. So they have the cart before the horse. So it's really, really, really important to understand that in order for treatment to be a legitimate, necessary thing, we have to believe that the drug has the power and the human does not. That the drug has sentience and you can't think for yourself. And that the drug somehow in an intelligent way tells you to behave. Now, I know what the treatment people are going to say. They're going to say, well, no, Mark, it's not exactly that one-dimensional. It's not exactly like that. The drugs affect your dopamine, and then you can't say no. But we know that people say no. We know that when people, the irony of treatment is that when you go, you have to be sober to go. And if they couldn't stop, then they would be drunk and they would be scratching at the walls in every treatment facility, and you wouldn't be able to stop them. So they have this strange sort of wanting it both ways, having their cake and eat it too. They say you have to want it. Okay, that's in the mind, but you also can't stop. Well, which is it? Which is it? And we know that it's you have to want it. You have to want to stop. If you're going to stop, you have to want to first. And that's internal. That has nothing to do with the drug or treatment or anything. That's an internal job. So ultimately, everybody, whether they go to treatment, whether they're in a therapeutic community for 2 years, whether they're in a cult, whether they go to meetings for 20 years, whether they have sponsorship, whether they're on medications, whether we cover all this, by the way, in the first probably 4 chapters of this book. But no matter what, they're all doing it the same way. They're all deciding for themselves, like I did. At the point when you stop because you've decided that's what you're going to do. Brain changes be damned. Doesn't matter what's happening in your body. Doesn't matter if you're in withdrawal. Then you go to detox if you need that. But that's a choice too. So the way treatment became the biggest scam is twofold. One, they made you believe that the drug has the power, you don't. Fundamentally, and once they get you there, they got health insurance involved. And then it became a Medicaid insurance system. And once that happened, then it's well-funded. And then the propaganda is well-funded. And the other thing that they did, another way that they've sort of pushed this whole narrative of disease and the need for treatment, and that treatment works, and that, you know, there's this sort of buffet style of all kinds of recovery protocols that you need to addiction proof yourself. The way they did that was using Hollywood. And that's why Michelle and I are doing the Freedom Model Reacts channel in our YouTube channel, to talk about the movies and how they keep this narrative going through Hollywood. And Hollywood is big into AA, you know, big. The other factor that made this whole treatment paradigm exist is through the proliferation of AA meetings, and making people believe they're powerless over alcohol. And then that also went into drugs with Narcotics Anonymous, and then Cocaine Anonymous, and all the other anonymouses that we now see, the 12-step model for everything: food, shopping, screen time. We're powerless over everything. We're powerless over life. So therefore we need what? A professional to guide it. That right there, that's what we call the tyranny of experts. There's a great book by Chavez called The Tyranny of Experts. I recommend it. And Cult of Pharmacology, another good book. So there's all these ideas that you are this minion, this thoughtless creature that's weak and can't move forward and can't overcome your habits, and somehow they take over your serotonin and your biology and render you powerless to stop yourself from the habit. It's just a matter of making people believe that. And it's really remarkable. It's really remarkable that we've been doing this now for 80 years. The results are in. The overdoses are higher than they've ever been per capita ever in this country. Most of the West, meaning Europe as well, and Australia. And we see that we have more being spent on treatment than any time in history. And then I always go back to this. What did people do? What did the population do before AA, before 1939, 1935? They got over their problems. That's what they did. They thought their way out. They problem solved. That's what they did historically. And we had less overdose per capita. You could go to the corner store and buy heroin. You know, it was on the market. We did a podcast on that. That's the Addiction Solution podcast, by the way, very popular now worldwide. So fundamentally, teaching people they're weak, they're powerless, the drug is powerful, it contains sentience, it contains some ability to tell you how to live your life, it gives you a license to misbehave. They build up the drugs. They build up the drugs both in these beautiful, wonderful, magical ways, and the society builds up the drugs as also these diabolical agents that addict you. That's another angle of propaganda. But when you believe these things, they become your truth. And that is why some of you are going to rally against what I'm saying, because you believe all of this stuff. Like I did at one time. It almost killed me. So I've seen a lot of people die through the years being in this business and seeing AA and treatment, and seeing all the carnage that happens as a result of all of this misinformation. Nobody dies from the drugs. They die from misinformation, which then leads to a habit where the drug kills them. It's a sad, unnecessary waste, wanton waste. So I think that it's really important to tell the truth so people can decide for themselves what they want, and do so in an empowered way. You're not weak. Nobody is weak. Nobody is powerless. They are misinformed and confused. There's a difference. So, yeah, it's a scam. Do I think it's on purpose? I think when it comes to the people in charge, to a great degree, I do think it's on purpose. I think they're there just to make money. And a lot of the owners, operators run on that. And I've dealt with a lot of them through the years. But are there a lot of good people? There are phenomenal people who are out in the trenches trying to help people. like myself, I don't have an axe to grind. I just have a desire for the truth. Am I resentful at AA? No, no. But did I create a deprogramming from the 12 steps course? Sure. Yeah. Get the hell out of the meetings and move on with your life. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Get out of the treatment lie. Understand that you're the answer to your addiction. I don't even believe in addiction. I believe in habits that people form for things that they enjoy or like or love. So yeah, became a scam when it became a money game. And a lot of greedy people got involved. And you can teach people with fear and misinformation to give up all their money for treatment. I've seen it and it's sad. Get free from treatment. Run away. Read this book if you don't understand what's going on. And yeah, I think you'll be amazed. You'll feel empowered. Take care.